Hello everyone and welcome to video 10 in your OCR A-Level PE Anatomy and Physiology series. This is ATP Resynthesis part 2. So, quickly guys, in today's video we should be able to explain the physiology of the aerobic energy system. We should be able to state the pros and cons of the aerobic energy system. We should be able to state and explain what is meant by the energy continuum. And finally, we should be able to state and explain what is meant by intermittent exercise. So, moving into the video guys, let's look at stage 1 of the aerobic energy system, which is aerobic glycolysis. Now, before we go any further, I would once again like to apologise for my drawings. I know I'm shocking, but I am doing my best, I swear. So, basically, it's very similar to anaerobic glycolysis, as we see, muscle and liver glycogen is broken down into glucose by that GPP enzyme, which is further broken down into pyruvate by PFK. In that reaction, as we know, releases the 2 molecules of ATP. However, in the presence of oxygen, pyruvate now binds to coenzyme A to produce acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl-CoA for short. And this occurs in the sarcoplasm, remember guys, just like anaerobic glycolysis, sorry. So, moving forward, if we look at stage 2, this is now called the Krebs cycle. So, that coenzyme A, or, acetyl coenzyme A, that should say, plus oxaloacetic acid forms citric acid. Now, what citric acid does is it gets into that Krebs cycle, and in the Krebs cycle carbon dioxide is released, you get another 2 molecules of ATP released, but now what you also get is protons, or H+, and electrons are also released, and this occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria. So remember guys, as I'm going through, feel free to pause and get this notes down, because I'm going quickly today. The next stage, or the final stage I should say, is the electron transport train. So basically, NAD and FAD are hydrogen carriers, and they bind to these protons and electrons to form NADH and FADH, or you could say reduced NAD or reduced FAD. And basically, what happens next is electrons plus the electron transport chain form, the remainder 34 molecules of ATP, taking our total yield up to 38 molecules of ATP in the aerobic energy system. Protons, I should say, plus the electron transport chain get you that water. And this now occurs in the crystate of mitochondria. So get this down guys, and then we will move on. So now we understand the physiology of the aerobic energy system, we can now look at both the advantages and disadvantages of it. So advantages, basically, there are large, stores of glycogen and fat in the human body. And what that means is it allows for long duration of ATP resynthesis. As well as this, as you can probably, you probably gathered, is it's got a very high ATP yield. Because, you look at the lactic acid energy system, and its yield is 2 ATP. And the ATP system's yield is 1 ATP. So this is very efficient, resynthesizing ATP. As well as this, it's got no fatiguing byproducts. The lactic acid system produces lactic acid, We're all good in this energy system. No fatiguing byproducts produced. However, if we look at, on the other hand, the disadvantages, there is a delay of oxygen delivery and a series of complex reactions which delays ATP resynthesis. And unfortunately, this does, slow energy, the slow energy resynthesis here limits intensity to the sub-maximal threshold, unfortunately. So before we, move away from this energy system, what we need to understand is the use of fat in the aerobic energy system. Now, what you might be thinking is, why use fat when you can just use glycogen? So basically, glycogen stores are large, but realistically, if you're an ultra-long distance runner, let's say, you will want to use those glycogen stores for shorter, high intensity, bursts of speed, like overtakes or sprint starts. Whereas, fats, as well as that, can be aerobically respired, as we see in the next point. So the enzyme lipase breaks down triglycerides into 3 fatty acids plus a glycerol. Now, these can be converted into the acetyl coenzyme A and enter into the Krebs cycle as it does before. And basically, although it's very good, and fatty acids produce more acetyl-CoA than glycogen, but they do require that 15% more oxygen to be respired, so it's limited to a lower intensity exercise. So purely arbitrary guys, say, don't use this in your exam, it's just an example. So say using glycogen, you can work at 70 to 80% maximum intensity, but if you aspire with fats, you're only working 60 to 70% maximum. There's an example for you guys. So, away from the energy system now, we're going to look at the energy continuum. So, here is my phenomenal drawing of the energy continuum. So, on the left, it's short duration, and on the right, it's long duration. And it just shows, ATP, PT, 2 to 3 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, lactic acid system, 30 seconds to 3 minutes, aerobic system, anything above, left to right, short to long duration. So basically, what the energy continuum does is it relates to the contribution of each energy system to the overall energy production. So think about it. One energy system is predominantly providing that ATP, but in most cases, all energy systems work together to produce ATP. So I've put there marathon. Now, why I've put marathon is, think about it. If you have a specifically fast performer, at the start of the marathon, he's going to use the lactic acid energy system to sprint off away from the start because he doesn't want to get stuck behind the slower people. If he gets stuck behind them, then his pace is slower, which means that he can't go through his game plan and he can't get the best time possible. But if he sprints at the start, he can then get ahead of the pack, as they say, and then adjust to his own game plan using his aerobic energy system and go from there. Moving on, last slide here, guys, is what is intermittent exercise? So what it is, it's a type of exercise where the level of intensity changes. So this could be during interval training, you go from your periods of maximal intensity followed by periods of rest, or it could be stops and breaks in the play of a game. So take football, for example, they're sprinting through balls, they're just jogging around, putting pressure on opponents, and also just walking around, if there's a sub going on, they're walking around, they're talking. So, the intensity changes. Basically, a threshold, you need to know the definition of threshold. So a threshold is the point at which a performance predominant energy system changes. So the point where you switch from the ATP PT system to the lactic acid system, that's a threshold. The point where you shift from the lactic acid system to the aerobic system, that's a threshold. So, yeah. So guys, what we've learned today is the physiology of the aerobic energy system. We've learned the pros and cons of the aerobic energy system, and we have been able to state and explain what both intermittent exercise and the energy continuum are. So if we move into, looking forward into the next video, we're going to look at the recovery process, or epoch. So what we need to know is what exactly is epoch, and we need to know about both the fast and the slow components of epoch. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with any friends who are also studying A-Level PE, and I will see you in the next video.